This is Grandmaster Boris Alterman and you're watching Gambit-Guide. Welcome to the new series of the Gambit-Guide, and we're back to Sicilian defense after e4 c5. So instead of previously studied knight c3 and f4 variation, so we're back to the main line, knight f3. And here, instead of usual d6, e6, knight c6 or g6 move, black has quite interesting and I would say revolution continuation, knight f6. So for the first time, Nimzo-Rubinstein, one of the greatest Polish chess players, and at that time he was definitely in top 3 players, played it against Simon Alapin in the Russian championship in Vilnius, in Vilna in 1912. And I would say that black quite simply equalized the game after e5, knight d5, when white answered here knight c3, and after knight takes c3, d takes c3, and knight c6, white answered bishop c4, d6, and slowly black almost equalized here the game. However, Rubinstein made the mistake probably in time trouble and lost the game. Later on, in a few years later, greatest Danish chess player Aron Nimzowitsch decided to include this opening line, this knight f6 move, into his repertoire, and I would say that knight f6 is exactly this is modern ideas which Nimzowitsch just brought into the chess world. So with his Nimzo Indian defense, with his Queen's Indian defense, and also he was one of the player who just always looked for unusual ways in the opening theory and unusual new ideas. And that's why we call it modern chess theory of Nimzowitsch in the last century. So after knight f6, white more or less forced to play e4, e5, otherwise there is no much ideas. So after e5, white is winning battle in the center. However, by playing knight d5, we got into the very interesting situation, because this position reminds very much for us the Alokhin defense. So as we know, Alokhin defense could come after knight f6 immediately after e4, and let's say e4, knight e5, so now we can just make 2 more moves, knight f3 and c5, and we are obtaining absolutely the same position from the Rubinstein-Nimzowitsch variation of the Sicilian defense, or Alokhin defense, I mean the classical Alokhin defense. So what I would like to show you is that white, for fighting in this position for advantage, has to play very aggressively, and this aggressive move of course is knight c3. I could tell you that even without playing knight c3, white could fight for advantage after, for instance, c4, attacking the knight on d5. So knight has to go to b6, and after d4, c takes d4, queen takes d4, knight c6 and queen e4. White is keeping slightly but lasting positional advantage. So knight is coming to c3, later on bishop comes to f4. However, of course, black could try to counterattack after d6. Position quite interesting. Let's back to the standard line of Rubinstein-Nimzowitsch variation. Because after e4, e5, knight d5, knight c3, instead of playing knight takes c3, the new move here was born, this e6, which is leading almost by force to the very dynamic position where black is ready to sacrifice the pawn in order to get the development advantage. So that's why the course, our Gambit Guide, the new course I call the Knight F6 Gambit, because very soon you will realize that here just black is in white into the very deep complications.